Welcome back to Music Teacher Reacts, where I would ordinarily have some kind of loudest spacebar gag here. But if you're watching this as a new video, you would realize that I'm back after a really long time of not posting. So thank you. Thank you for sticking around. And if you're watching this in retrospect, then it doesn't really matter. Massive thank you to everyone who messaged me on Instagram, emailed me, left comments, wondering where I was. I am alive, I'm well, thank you, and I'm back. Ironically, I'm up to How Could You Leave Us? And I promise it wasn't intentional to leave people hanging. I've had ridiculous amount of people requesting this since I did my very first Reactionalysis on The Search, and about 50 other people asked me to do Why Would You Leave Us? Either way, I gather that they're meant to be the same song. And I will do this somewhat differently. I'm gonna try to get away with watching and listening from start to finish without stopping. I can get the full emotion behind it. The only problem is the copyright police. So there may be some parts which I may have to silence out or not, but I hope I get away with it. Enough people have spoiled this for me to know that it's about his mother's death. But that's all I know. Pressing play now.
How could you leave so unexpected? We waited for you, but you just left us. We needed you, I needed you. Yo, I don't know what it's like to be addicted to pills, but I do know what it's like to be a witness and important. All you have to say is no, but you won't do it, will you? You gon' keep popping till them pills kill you. I know you're gone, but I can still feel you. Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us? How could you leave us? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Told me you love me and congratulations. Instead you left us at the window waiting. Where you at, Mom? We're too young to understand. Where you at, huh? Yeah, I know them drugs that got you held captive. I can see it in your eyes, they got your mind captured. Some say it's funny, really cared for me, then where you at then? Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us? How could you leave us? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Took them pills for the last time, didn't you? They took you from us once, I guess they came back to finish you. Crying my eyes out in the studio is difficult. Music is the only place that I can go to speak to you. It took everything inside of me not to scream at your funeral. Sitting in my chair, that person talking was pitiful. I wish you were here, Mama, but every time I picture you, all I feel is pain. I hate the way I... How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Sometimes I think about sometimes I think about things like, you know, when I have kids and you won't be there, you know, you won't be there for any of that. Pills got you, right? And pills got you, right? I wish you were here.
I see why people requested Why Would You Leave Us? As it's part of the first part of the chorus. I mean, it's so emotionally driven. I'm not crying. I'm terrible at fake crying, so I'm not going to fake cry. I wish I was crying. That doesn't mean I don't have a heart, obviously. It was quite interesting because going into this, I knew the context was about her dying. I didn't realize how much of it was NF and possibly his siblings. It's implied by the title, How Could You Leave Us? That there was intention to leave. And I think now on second listening, I'll get the lyrics up so I can really delve deeper into this. There's so much musically going on as well, which I'm going to unpack. But my first impressions, obviously lyrically, are a lot of the blame going on to his mother for consistently taking pills and consistently giving in to an addiction, which ultimately took her away. Realistically, she had left before she had died, because you would assume that addiction overcomes you and you become a different person. So I'm going to get the lyrics up because don't know how much I agree with the resentment towards her. Maybe looking from a child's perspective, that's fair. But isn't addiction a disease? You wouldn't blame somebody for leaving you or dying if they had a heart attack, if they had cancer. So why would you blame somebody from dying because of their addiction? I mean, I understand that because it seems selfish. There's obviously a lot more to unpack. There's obviously a lot more going on in his story, but those are my first impressions. I'm going to get out the lyrics. I'm going to have a second listen and see if we can unpack this musically as well.
How could you leave so unexpected? We waited for you, but you just left us. We needed you, I needed you.
I mean, the first thing which gripped me straight up, which was different from a lot of his other songs in this album, is the initial acoustic feel because of that piano chord accompaniment. And this is in minor tonality. So for those of you who are musicians, you'd know what I mean. For those of you who are not, it's around a scale which sounds sadder. It's being played on the lower end of the piano, therefore giving a more somber feel. So that's intentional anyway, to make it more emotional. And different from his other songs in this album, straight up, is his singing. He's singing in the introduction. Finally, as well, post-production, the reverb on his vocals makes this, again, a lot more emotional.
Yo, I don't know what it's like to be addicted to pills, but I do know what it's like to be a witness to kills. Mama told me she loved me. I'm thinking this isn't real. I think of you when I get a whiff of that cigarette smell, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going back and forth with the lyrics here because I don't know what it's like to be addicted, but I do know what it's like. So it seems like to me he's got a lot of negative connotations about his mother, because I think of you when I get a whiff of that cigarette. Well, that's not really negative because smoking is legal. Scent, it's closest tied to memory. And obviously, for shock factor, it's gone straight in with using an electronic drum beat as well.
Yeah. Welcome to the bottom of hell. They say pain is a prison. Let me out of my cell. You say you proud of me, but you don't know me that well. Sit in my room, tears running down my face, and I yell into my pillowcases. Say you coming to get us, then call a minute later just to tell us you're not. I'm humiliated. I'm in a room with a parent that I don't barely know. Some lady in the corner watching us while she's taking notes.
Accompaniment wise, and when I say accompaniment, I mean not the melody or not the vocals. Piano, drums, or electronic drum beat, playing a somewhat syncopated bass drum beat with claps or electronic claps on beats 2 and 4. It's basic. It's basic for reasons that rap is lyrically focused. We know that. And even if you don't listen to a piece of music with a focus on the music, if there's more going on, it's going to distract you from the message. So this is really simple compared to a lot of his other songs and his music, which has got a lot more elaboration musically in it. There are things which happen which are somewhat out of left field. And I can't remember everything so far in the song, but I feel like that's really intentional here because, yeah, the meaning is always important. But the amount of people who've asked me to listen to this, whether they put it on a pedestal or not, it's clearly touching people, and it's clearly something that people can relate to, but it's incredibly sad. And if there was a lot going on musically, or too much going on musically, it's going to take away from that. But of course we know that music does enhance meaning. Let's see how he does that.
I don't get it, Mom. Don't you wanna watch your babies grow? I guess pills are more important. All you have to say is no. But you won't do it, will you? You gon' keep popping till them pills kill you. I know you're gone, but I can still feel you.
Okay. Lyrically, I was really focused on the lyrics there, so I don't even know if anything happened musically. Lyrically, I don't think that's fair. I really don't. I don't think it's fair to have the resentment. I don't think it's fair to say, don't you want to watch your babies grow? All you had to say was no. Anyone with an addiction, you can't just say, all I have to say is no. It's not that simple. And of course she wants to watch her children grow, but she's got an illness. I'm not condoning taking drugs. Is NF talking from the perspective of a child who doesn't understand addiction, or is he talking as an adult? If it's the latter, I'm feeling like it's not very fair. If it's as a child, it's justified.
Do it, will you? You gon' keep popping till them pills kill you. I know you're gone, but I can still feel you.
I stopped it there. The silence. I say this in a lot of my other videos where there's a huge silence. And look, the screen is black. The screen is black as well. Silence is just as important as sound. Without silence, you can't have sound, and it's effective. It's an effective musical tool to create an atmosphere, to create drama, and to create interest and enhance emotion. Simultaneously with the video clip, you've got action happening, and as soon as that silence happens, it's dark.
Oh, I guess pills are more important. All you have to say is no. But you won't do it, will you? You gon' keep popping till them pills kill you. I know you're gone, but I can still feel you. Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us? How could you leave us? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us?
Singing, chords on the piano, reverb on the vocals, and he's somewhat belting. It's not a calm kind of vocal tone that he's got here. However, I want to look at a couple of the little things that we may have not heard. I'm pretty sure most people would have heard the crying. That's a musical feature. Anything that's happening, whether it be a sound effect, whether it be speech, whether it be something, even though it doesn't have a melody of some kind, is a feature musically. And the crying starts in the silence just before the first chord comes in the chorus. So silence, crying, a man crying, which challenges the notion of masculinity being men should be strong, men should keep their emotions to themselves, men shouldn't cry or show themselves crying. We know that that's not true. So silence, crying, and then going straight in. He could have started the crying afterwards. And again, we may have not batted an eyelid, but it's about filling that silence with pure emotion and the crying happening consistently throughout the chorus, intermittently. There was no rhythmic value with it. It was free. Furthermore, there was one other layer, maybe there was another one that I didn't hear. It was a backing vocal, whether it have been NF himself or somebody else, is holding a note as like a whoa. It's there really underlying. It enhances the emotion because it enhances it, even though it's something that may be used in other songs. In this context, I see it as him wailing, almost crying. So I'm going to take it back again to the silence, the crying, the chorus, which we all know, which is emotionally driven, lyrically, emotionally driven, with the tone color of his voice, and also his backing vocals, which are just underlying a long sustained note, whoa, which is more about him bringing that emotion out again, almost like it's crying.
Bills kill you. I know you're gone, but I can still feel you. Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us? How could you leave us? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us?
And obviously I forgot to mention that the drums have been pulled, the drums have been dropped. Having that drum beat would have absolutely killed and ruined it. But yeah, no drum beat, thankfully.
I got this picture in my room and it kills me. But I don't need a picture of my mom, I need the real thing.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Again, looking at the lyrics. Why do I feel like I've lost something that I've never had? Backing up that addiction had taken her away long before she had physically left this world. The user, so where you at, mum? We're too young to understand where you're at, ha. Again, that's a question, but using the word ha as like an ad lib, but it's not. So in this case, it's part of the lyrics. It's part of the question, yet again, he's using this vocal tone of desperation, which kind of comes across like it would have been an ad lib, but it's not.
Where you at, mom? We're too young to understand. Where you at, huh? Yeah.
I feel like though he's telling this from an adult's perspective because you should have been there when I graduated. He is telling this from an adult's perspective as he's looking back at his mother's absence and the reasons for his mother's absence, not being able to form a relationship with her that he may have seen his friends or other people his age form relationships. So maybe all he had was resentment because she may have not been there. It's not that simple, and I worry that people are watching this and looking at addiction as it's simple, she could have said no, or it's simple, you should love your kids enough to stop this. I get that from an outsider's perspective. I get that from somebody who can say no to pills, can say no to any kind of addictive substance. It's not that simple.
I know them drugs that got you held captive. I can see it in your eyes, they got your mind captured. Some say it's fun to get the high, but I am not laughing. And what you don't realize and what you're not grasping, that I was nothing but a kid who couldn't understand it. I ain't gonna say that I forgive you cause it hasn't happened. I thought that maybe I'd feel better as time passes. If you really cared for me, then where you at then?
So there's still a lot of blame going on, and I don't blame him for that. I mean, he's acknowledging that she's been held captive, so therefore it was beyond her control. If you're held captive by something, I know those drugs got you held captive, then you can't, it's difficult to escape from your captor. And in this case, if we're going to personify the drugs, then we are saying that this person has held his mother captive and eventually killed her. So how could you blame her for that? How could you blame her for something that took her and killed her? So there's a lot of you don't realize this, that I was a kid and I didn't understand. A lot of the blame game going on. Again, I don't blame him for that. It's great that he's referenced the recreational aspect behind drug use, that people laugh and say, oh, that's fun. However, this is the reality for some people. It started off as fun. So if you really cared for me, then where you at then? Did she care for him? Deep down, yeah. Pretty sure she did. I mean, I didn't know her. But once again, it's so simple to say you've got an addiction and you don't care for that, your kid, or you don't care for that person.
Feel better as time passes. If you really cared for me, then where you at then?
Interesting, the crying wasn't there. The crying was there the first time. I could only see that as a initial shock value to enhance emotion. We're going straight back into the chorus, again, something familiar so that we can solidify this melody and that we can sing it in our heads and we can understand it more. Hence, possibly why there wasn't the crying there this time. Also, let's look at the lyrics which were before the first chorus. So the first chorus was, I guess the pills are more important, then all you have to say is no, but you won't do it, will you? You're gonna keep popping till those pills kill you. I know you're gone, but I still feel you. That last line was a lot more emotional. The last line in the second verse, if you really cared for me, then where you at then? So upon comparing the last line of the first verse, I know you're gone, but I still can feel you, which is more driven by sadness, silence, and crying before the chorus. Comparing with the last line of the second verse, if you really cared for me, then where you at then? To me, that sounds more anger than sadness. Silence, no crying, chorus.
If you really cared for me, then where you at then? Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us?
The crying is back here, yeah.
How could you leave us here?
Interesting. So the crying I know I'm really focused on the crying. The crying started before the chorus, in the silence, the first time we heard the chorus. The crying did not start there the second time, it just started again within the chorus. The use of the breaths in when crying as well to fill in those silences are, again, number one, emotive. Number two, they add to the music because it's a different kind of sound to just the vocals. So it's a different tone color. So it creates interest musically. If we're looking at this purely objectively without adding emotion to it.
could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Our last conversation, you and I sat in the living room talking about my music, and I brought you something to listen to. You started crying, telling me this isn't you. A couple weeks later, guess you were singing a different tune.
I mean, again, when I'm listening to this the first time and it was emotionally driven, I was really focused on the lyrics, I was focused on the story. I didn't even realize that this is the first time the verse has turned up without a drum beat. Our last conversation I sat in the living room. Our last conversation we'd had, meaning obviously she had gone away for a long time or she had died soon after that. Not using the drums emphasizes that a lot more, creates interest, makes it a lot more heartfelt. We know that this is the last verse from number 1, the use of the lyric, our last conversation. Number 2, the fact that they've changed it somewhat, or simply by taking the drums away.
You took them pills for the last time, didn't you? They took you from us once, I guess they came back to finish you. Crying my eyes out in the studio is difficult. Music is the only place that I can go to speak to you. It took everything inside of me not to scream at your funeral. Sitting in my chair, that person talking was pitiful. I wish you were here, mama, but every time I picture you, all I feel is pain. I hate the way I remember you. They found you on the floor. I could tell you felt hollow. Gave everything you had, plus your life to them pill bottles. You gave everything you had, plus your life to them pill bottles. Don't know if you hear me or not, but if you're still watching, why?
Yeah, this verse is very angry. The whole song is angry. I don't think the emotion is sadness. It is to an extent, but it's anger, confusion, and bringing those drums back in, or the drum beat back in again with a more angry lyric. It took everything inside of me not to scream at your funeral. That's where they're bringing the drums back in. That's where they're pushing the chorus forward again, reigniting that feeling of anger. And of course, a final plea. Don't know if you hear me or not, but if you are still watching, why? Why expressed kind of like as an ad-lib, but really with an angry kind of vocal tone. The word why going into the word why from the beginning of the verse, and hence some people think it's called Why Would You Leave Us?
Why would you leave us? Why would you leave us? How could you leave us? How could you leave us? Why would you leave us? Sometimes I think about things like, you know, when I have kids, and like, you won't be there, you know, you won't be there for any of that. I'll never get to see you again. Sometimes I wish I would have just called you. I wish I would have just picked up the phone. But you were here. I mean, you should have been there for us. You should have been here. Pills got you right. And pills got you right. I wish you were here.
I'm somewhat confused by the presence of his mother in his life as a child. Was she present, and how much? So looking at the video clip, she's driving them around. Certainly she's not on drugs when she's doing that. She's smoking what she's smoking, but it certainly seems like they are getting along, like things are happy. And I feel like NF's going between being super angry at her and wishing that she was there. However, I'm going to the lyric at the beginning. So you say you're proud of me, but you don't know me that well. Therefore, maybe she wasn't that present and she was more caught up in her drug addiction. And then in the second verse, now a relationship is something we won't ever have. Why do I feel like I lost something that I never had? That contrasts quite heavily with the ending where he's really pouring his heart out and wanting her there. So when I have kids, I'm like, you won't be there, you know? She won't be there as a generic grandmother, or she won't be there as somebody who he never had a relationship with, somebody who he saw as a drug addict or who wasn't present. So I'm really confused by this, and I'll never get to see you again. That's sad. But again, sometimes I wish I would have just called you. I wish I would have just picked up the phone, wish you were here. Wish who was there? The person that he said in verse 2 was someone he feels like he lost something that he never had, a relationship. So why does he wish that she was there? Does he wish that she was there as he knows or knew her, or she was there as what you would assume a mother should be? Because they're two different things, potentially. Them pills got you, right? That's a question. Repeats it. He knows that. So it's quite interesting. It's an emotionally driven song. I'm a bit confused because I always, like I said, I always read the comments and I love to see people's perspectives on this. Where does he lie with this? Is he angry at her? Yes, it's clear. Is he sad? Yes, it's clear. But is he sad and mourning his mother? Or is he sad and mourning somebody who should have or could have been a mother to him and potentially a future grandmother to his future kids? Because you go from being angry and saying that this is somebody who I didn't really have a proper relationship with, to saying, I miss you, I want you there, I want to talk to you. If you were around, you could be there for my kids. Anyway, that's giving me a lot to think about. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your patience. I am back and I will do my best to upload as much as I can. I'll do my best to be responsive. If anybody needs to reach out, comment, I will see it. If you want to send me a message on Insta, I'll try to see it and try to respond. Anyway, until next time. Turn off your engine. The problem with being in a garage is that your neighbors love the sound. Oh, damn it. Reverse away. I don't care that thing left me right now.